All right. So it's the same one that's in your book. Whether you want to open up that document or open up your textbook, I don't care. They're both the exact same thing. At least they should be, because I copied and pasted. 337. All right, 337D. Boom. All right. So here's how to do a matrix. And so, and I'm assuming everybody's ready to go. Anybody not ready to go? We're all good.
It's being incredibly slow, but you can go ahead. I'll make it load later. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Can you see what I'm presenting though? Okay, that works. Good morning, Kyle, by the way. Didn't see you come in there. I missed a couple people coming in. Good morning, all. I say draw I said draw a matrix. I'm speaking to when you're doing a DBQ. I'm providing a blank matrix. By all means, use it. It's going to be so much easier to do this stuff digitally. But in the real world, when you go to do a DBQ, you're probably going to draw a matrix. And if you haven't noticed already, the matrix, they all look alike. They all have a commonality to them, and I've done that on purpose so that you can kind of help organize your thoughts. And I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again at the risk of repeating myself multiple times. Matrices are designed for two things, but primarily, well, the first one is to get your stuff organized. I'll get your information organized, but primarily to get your brain unstuck, because you're gonna see that when you on a high stress situation like an AP exam, your brain gets stuck. It gets frozen. In the Navy, we call them helmet fires in the aircraft, because basically you can't think and your head's on fire, and you got to like unclog your brain. And so that's all these matrices are for. They're tools to organize and get your brain unstuck and dump all the information out on a piece of paper, and then use that piece of paper to organize and get yourself a really good grade on your essay. So without further ado, you're going to need a matrix. And so you have to understand the prompt. It's kind of like hound dogs, and I don't suppose anybody would have a hound dog or have any. Bless you, by the way, Caitlin. I don't know that anybody would know how hound dogs are used in searches, but typically before they send a hound dog or some bloodhound, something that's a scent-related police assistant, the first thing they do is they give it a sample of what it's looking for, and then they say, go. And so that's what you always have to do. You never, ever, ever launch out into an essay that when you don't really know what the prompt is asking. You got to figure that out. And so that's the very first thing we're going to do. We're going to look at the prompt. Whether you look at your book or whether you look at this guy here. Oh man, I did it for you already. I forgot that I did that. I was gonna have you. I think go like this too. Look at the prompt, and we can do it that way, or we can cheat. And here's the prompt, anyways. Evaluate the extent to which rulers of the early modern era differed in their methods of establishing authority. And I was going to ask you, what are the key words that you should key on, right? But look, guess what I did? I highlighted the key words. So, well, let's go with it. What's the first one? Evaluate. What does that mean? When you see evaluate, what does it mean? Anybody? I'm the king of awkward silence, by the way. What does evaluate mean? Look carefully. Okay. It requires something. You're going to have to look carefully, but it's going to require something of you. Nope, it's not explain. It's not explain, because it would say explain. They actually put the word in explain in there. When they put the evaluate in there, they're expecting something. Now think at this, and I will give you a clue. If you Process the info, compare. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, nope, nope. Now let me finish my clue. If you are at work, you would be evaluated from time to time. What does that mean when you are evaluated?
Don't you get like scored and like you score it?
Caitlin, sick and all comes through. Good job, Caitlin. Yes, you're going to say, Caitlin, like just now, Caitlin, you were evaluated and you did well. Okay, that was a great response. Okay, did you see how I evaluated that? Let me see what else. Somebody else evaluate Caitlin's response. No, you can't give a thumbs up. That's not, you got to say it verbally. You guys do have voices, right? This is a voice check.
Yes. Great response, Caitlin.
How about this? I liked Caitlin's response better than anybody's. Caitlin's response was my favorite. Do you see how I evaluated it? Okay, so evaluate the extent to which the rulers of the early modern era differed in their methods of establishing authority. Okay, somebody, and this is I'm gonna be the king of awkward silence, and I want a voice. I don't want typing. I want a voice. Tell me what you're looking for. And I've even helped you out. In common language. Don't put it in college board language. Put it in, I got to explain this to my 5th grader brother.
You're looking at the rulers themselves and the methods of establishing authority.
Oh, you use too many of the common words. You put it in a 5th graders. Okay, little Johnny, this is what I have to do.
Like all the rulers, they're different rulers, and they all became the rulers in different ways. So how can we score which rulers did it best? Maybe.
Okay. What does it mean to establish authority?
To make themselves known as the authoritative power and like make people follow their rule.
There we go. I like that last one. How do they make people follow their rules? Does that make sense? People are tuning off their, man, I just lost another student. There goes another video. Dang it. Yeah, so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for these rulers, and we have to evaluate. So we have to give some sort of evaluative word. Good rulers showed that they were bossed by this, whereas other rulers, on a less effective way, did this. Make sense? All right, so that is what we're looking for. When we go look at each one of these documents, okay, the very first thing we got to do is we got to know what are we looking for. And we're looking for, we're going to first off figure out how did they show that they were the boss? How did they become the boss? How did they show that they were boss? How were they the boss? Okay, that's the first thing we got to do. And we always have to come up with 2 answers. Every single, if you do this 99.999% of the time, your essays are going to come up with 2 answers. If you come up with 3 answers in any of your essays, I'm talking LDQs and DBQs. If you come up with 3 answers, you're A, working too hard, and B, probably cutting down on your chances of actually getting a good thesis, because the good thesis typically for this class will have 2 answers. And so a DBQ is no different. So we're gonna have 2 ways that they establish authority. We got to figure out, we don't know what those 2 ways are yet. We don't know those 2 ways. We're gonna have to come up with some answers. That's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna do that. We're gonna come up with 2 answers. And then we're gonna work on this again tomorrow. And then we're gonna write it on Thursday. So today and tomorrow we're gonna work on that. But we're looking for 2 ways, and we gotta somehow say this way was better than that way. So far, do we know what we're doing? All right. So 2 historically accurate answers to the prompt. Yeah, that's what we have to do using all the documents. And so what I typically will do on this, or I recommend that you do on this, is think about, before you even launch into the DBQs, brainstorm, how did leaders of the early modern era, how did they establish that they were the king and that people had to follow them? What are you guys thinking?
Warfare, or just brute force? No.
Okay, warfare. Okay, now keep that in your brain. And if you have scratch paper too, today's a great day for scratch paper. So warfare would be a good one. Basically, they went out and kicked butt and said, "I'm the boss." Okay, so there's
Religion.
one. Say that again.
Religion.
Ooh, there's another one. I like that too. Divine right. God, you know, the angels, whatever, said, "I'm it." Tag, you're it. Yeah, I always. My wife likes that show. What is that show? It's the British royalty thing on Netflix. What is it? The Crown. Are you guys watching The Crown? Yeah. I find it, my wife is just like, I mean, ever since Princess Diana, you know, back in the 80s, she's always been like you know, she follows the royalty anyways. And, but I'm always like, really, what's so special about this family, you know? I mean, they're dysfunctional. Would you agree? Who else is watching The Crown? Would you agree they're dysfunctional? Yeah, I see.
I haven't watched The Crown, but I know a lot. Like, I've watched a lot of documentaries on their family, and they're like really dysfunctional.
Yeah. I mean, Charles. Gosh, the guy's a knucklehead. You know, I'm speaking from a total guy's perspective. He marries a very lovely young lady, and he's fooling around with this old lady. What's going on with him? I mean, come on. I mean, like, hello. So we got back to this. We got off on The Crown here. But yeah, but I was all to the point where we're talking about religious, you know, divine right. So we got warfare and divine right. Is there any other way that leaders get people to follow them?
Oh, wait, no, never mind.
Charisma.
Ooh, I like that, Aurora.
I was gonna say sometimes, like, if they were top class, like they had a lot of money, then they were like, oh, well, I have the most money, so I'm the ruler now.
The wealth, yeah. Or some combination of those: charisma, wealth, divine right, and fighting. Okay, so we've got some. That's the first thing you got to do, is just kind of like get your brain thinking. Okay, what are some possibilities that I can think of? All right, and that's good. So we've got some pretty good ones laid down. So that's what we got to do first. Answer the prompt using only one document time. Here's the deal: we have to come up with, and I wish I had a. I'm gonna start doing this at some point in time. I'm gonna start using my projector, because one of the things we're supposed to be doing, and maybe when I put you guys on a break, I may play. No, I'll do that later when it's not class time. I'll play with that. But we have to come up with, because I draw on the board all the time in class, because it's easier to communicate on the board, and I got to figure out how to communicate with my projector, because I'm hearing rumors that we may be back in class here before we know it, and so I need to figure out how to start doing this. Anyways, this is all me talking. I shouldn't be talking right now, but we've got to come up with what's called umbrella answers. We are going to go through all the documents today one at a time. I'm going to put you in breakout groups, and you are going to go look at and come up with like one word answer for your document. You're going to pretend that yours is the only document you have, and you got to come up with an answer to the prompt, a one-word answer to the prompt, maybe two, using just your document. We're going to do that for all 7 documents. Maybe, in fact, we'll do the first one together, and then I'll break you into 6 small groups for the other ones, and then you guys will do the exact same thing in the other ones. But you answer the prompt using only one document at a time. Once you've done that for all 7, then you come up with 2 answers that you could hide all 7 underneath. 2 answers, okay? And I'm going to tell you, I think we probably hit on those answers already in our brainstorming. So we'll see. Anyways, oh, we lost Natalie. Source the documents. That's the other thing we're going to do too, is we have to source the documents. And I will show you, I think I have it in here. Yes. Tie the author document history to one of the following. Okay, so there's Well, I use CAP. There's all different ways to source the document. Basically, you're diving deep into the document, in particular the author, and you're looking at it to build your case. Something about the author. I'm going to say 8 times out of 10, you're going to use because you got this great argument going forward, except this one document gets in your way. Well, then let's tear into the author and tear him or her apart, and actually use that to show why our argument is true. And so it's called sourcing the documents. That's what's referred to. Okay, now you're always going to get 7 documents. Always going to get 7 documents. Okay, you have to source 3 of them. So what I'm going to tell you is source all of them. What you're going to see, like on this one here, 2 of them are pictures. So now we're down to 5. We're down to 5 where we can tear into the author, and we have to hit 3. So I would recommend to you source all 5 that you can and hope for the 3. Make sense? Source it. So there's, I call it CAP. Okay. So the first one in this here, it's probably nice to have these. If it was like if the author was Napoleon Bonaparte, you go, oh, this guy was a dictator. He conquered half of Europe. Maniac. There we go. So the first part is what part did the author play? Mansa Musa. If they quoted Mansa Musa, if they quoted, see it up there. I had it. Oh, there it is. Have we talked about Ibn Battuta? Good. What is it about this guy that we could play the C on? And I'm holding this up. I never know if you guys can see this or not. Can you guys see that? Okay, cool. What if we got like a and I'm gonna tell you, this guy may show up too. If you got that guy, Ibn Battuta, what could you play on context for him? What part does he play in history? As opposed to the fictional Marco Polo. Audience, and you have to understand, politicians do this all the time. They basically, whatever audience they're in front of, they will speak to tickle the ears of that audience. And so that's another way you could do it. Because it'll always give you, and if you look at, whether you look at the document that I gave you, or if you look at your textbook, you'll notice that there's a little bit source document information there on each one of the documents, and that's the stuff that you're gonna dig into. That'll tell you if it's in front of an audience and what part that would play. And so that you would use that. Purpose is the author trying to generate. Is he trying to get something going here? And then point of view. Take this a pair deck. But how much time do you want to figure out your 1 or 2 word answer for this? How much quiet time you want? Nobody's holding up fingers today. 3 minutes? 3 minutes? 3 minutes? Okay, 3 minutes. Here's what I want from you. I want a 1 or 2 word answer on how the rulers ruled, established their authority. And I want anything that you can glean from this author. Should I give you some background first? Or do you want to just dive into? Okay, let me give you some background here real quick. Let's see here.